Hi everyone, welcome to yet another beginners video on Node and Express. We will be creating something awesome. So Pooja is going to take over. Hey Pooja, just go on. So we have Pooja
Hi
here.
everyone. Hi everyone. Hope you are doing well. Hello. I am Pooja Singh. Today I am gonna host this session on building API using Node and Express. And this is just for beginners. Okay. And I'm gonna give a brief introduction about your mentor. I don't think he need any
There are a
kind
lot
of
of new people here.
introduction, but yeah, just for new subscribers, I want to give a brief introduction about Praveen. So he is Praveen. Uh, he is a full stack web specialist and he is expert in React. And he is an ex Microsoft MVP, and he just loves JavaScript. He can't live without JavaScript. And he has done his master's from University of Leicester in England, and he is a mentor, tech blogger, author, and he is
Okay,
a great
enough. You're
person.
going,
He is
we're
a full
long
techie.
list. So I'll just do this. I'll
Yeah.
take over here.
So
So yeah, I'm a full stack JavaScript specialist who is working on React, Node, and other things. So a lot of people are looking towards getting into MERN stack. And what exactly is a MERN stack? You have something called as JAM, JavaScript APIs and markups. So APIs are the main things that are now driving force of the whole world. So what I can say is like people are really looking forward for something very beginner that doesn't contain any jargons or anything, and they want to start something on it. So let's get into it and we will start creating your first API on Node.js and Express. So how many of you are ready? What about you, Pooja? You wanted to learn this from the first
yes,
day,
ready.
right?
Yeah,
Yes. So
I'm always
let
ready.
me start by sharing my screen and showing a couple of things. And we will be using Git and GitHub. I'll explain about my environment, and then we will do all these things. Like we will go through one by one. What are all the system requirements that are required, and then we will go with the stuff. Okay. So without further delay, so let me start my screen sharing. I believe everyone is able to see my screen, so we can also see both of us as well. So now, so the first thing is if you to tell about me. So for people who don't know, to give a small quick introduction, I keep saying that I'm a full stack developer. What is a full stack developer without a website? So this is my website. Hi everyone, this is me, and I'm a cat lover, I'm a cook, I'm a mentor, I'm a full stack specialist, and blah blah blah. So that has all my information here, and I'll also send this link on YouTube too. So and so you can go ahead and add me on LinkedIn and uh, like Facebook everywhere, and I'm happy to accept all the links. Then the next thing is I wanted to show you how I have actually designed the whole site. So there is a quick introduction, and what I would say is if you are in the IT field, you need to create your own brand identity. So make sure you have one, and I've got like simple experience section, education section. Minded, it is not updated by the way, and all these made up numbers. Then we have portfolio where I have done a lot of funny things. Then here is where I scribble things, and then what people talk about me in the back, it's there in the testimonial. And if you want to say something at me, or if you want to shout at me, here's the place. Okay, so without much further delay, let's go ahead and start doing something awesome. So for the current development environment, what I'm using is I have actually documented everything here. So if you go ahead and type in Praveen Dev Environment in Google, the first link that you get is this blog page. And here I have documented everything, what all things that I have been using. So what we need today is for creating a basic API server, we first need Google Chrome. This is just for like looking at all these things. I generally use Google Chrome for my browsing, web development, all these things. And I've got like a couple of plugins as well. Zoom, Git is actually good. I just completed a live stream just a few minutes ago on YouTube. So go check out the previous live stream that is about introduction to Git. So that would be very simple. And then we have got iTerm 2, that is like a small, okay, these things are like for terminals. And I love Sublime Text 2 for some reason, but I'm not using it right now. We'll be using VS Code. And finally, we'll just go to the main thing. We need Node.js. So out of browsers where JavaScript runs, it runs on Node.js. So Node.js is a platform that allows you to execute JavaScript. And then we have something called VS Code. Visual Studio Code is the best editor right now for all the JavaScript based stuff. And also it has some pretty awesome plugins, which I will be showing you in a bit. And let's go ahead and start with a few things. So how many of you have already worked on JavaScript or like VS Code, created your own API using Node.js? Please give a comment. And for those who have not done so far, don't worry, it's going to be very interesting and we will be completely interacting with each other. So Pooja is here. She's also going to learn something new and let's see how it goes. Okay, so all ready? So the first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a new window in Visual Studio Code. It looks something like this. So I'm just going to zoom in a bit. The first thing I'm going to do again is I'll create a new repository, a GitHub repository. So this is going to be completely open source. So I'm just going to quickly check the YouTube chats for anything. Okay, there are like some people answering their stuff. So Abir, hey Abir, thanks for joining in. And East or West, Praveen is best. That is too much. There are better people than me. Yeah, I know. And done worked with JS but not created API. Worked on React and Node.js combo. Super Siddharth. Hey, there is Shreyas. And yeah, hey. Okay, so let's get on in and let's start working on our first API. So before that, let me try creating a public repository here. Okay, so I'm just going to click on new repository. Hey, by the way, Universe 2020 is on the run, so make sure you are attending the GitHub University. It's going to be super fun. I don't know much about GitHub University. I'm just going to grab Eddie sometime when it is possible, and then I'm going to ask him what it is about, and it's going to be really cool. Okay, so let me create a first Node Express API. So for this, what all things that you need? You first need the Node.js runtime environment, which you can get it from nodejs.org. So here, just make sure you download the left side stable version. Okay, so always LTS version means long-term support, and it is going to be really stable. And on the right side, it is going to be the current latest breaking changes support. But I don't recommend using the current version. Just go for the LTS version because it is really good. And apart from that, we want something called as Postman, which is for mainly for the API requests. So this is going to help you in creating all the API requests and post requests, get requests, etc. And we will also be learning about some pretty awesome new things as well. So this is what we are going to do now. And let me quickly find out if everyone is here. So we will write a quick description saying like as a part of Praveen's live stream, we create a simple API server using Node.js and Express.js. So I'll just create an empty repository. So once an empty repository is created, you will be getting something like this. So I'm just going to give this link to everyone in the YouTube. Hey, GeeksGod is here. So hi, they are our primary sponsor of this video. So they have actually said everyone. So hey, a huge shout out for them. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. And let's go on with the next thing. So generally what I would suggest everyone to do is, so on the right side, you see this small paste button kind of thing. Just click on this. This will copy this whole HTTPS link. And I will always suggest people to like copy your username, put it in front of GitHub and press an at. So this is the complete URL. So if you want to clone it, let's take a quick survey. How many of you want me to use the GUI for Git to clone it? How many wants to use the CLI for Git to clone? What is your suggestion, Pooja? What should I use?
CLI. Always
CLI for you.
CLI.
Okay, let's look at what people say. So we have to respect their things,
Yes.
right? So let's wait for them to answer too. Okay, so apart from those things, let me tell you what all things that we will be learning. I've got a small list which I had somewhere. I I thought of like, oh wait, it's actually down the YouTube channel as well. So anyway, so we will be so I already asked everyone to have a bit of prerequisite here. So the first thing is you have to have your Node.js installed, VS Code installed, the list of things installed, Postman installed, and be prepared to learn. This is what I have already mentioned. The people who actually marketed this. And today we will be learning about what exactly is Node.js, what exactly is Express.js, what is a REST API, what does a REST API means. We will create a simple Node.js application. We'll see some awesome plugins like nodemon, how it helps us. We'll see what Express.js is and what it does. There is something called as a middleware concept in Express.js. What exactly it is and how we are going to use them. There is something called as Morgan, what it does, how it is going to help us. And finally, there is something called as CORS. What is CORS, Pooja? Tell me what it
Yeah.
is.
Uh, I don't know much about it, but I installed in my computer.
Mhm.
Uh, it is.
So
I,
it's called as cross origin resource sharing. So when you're logged into Gmail, and if I have a malicious script running on my website and you open it, I can't access Gmail's your data. So Gmail is also using the same browser to get your files and like get your mails, right? So in that case, I can say that in my website, from my website, if I run a query to gmail.com, because you are already logged in, I won't be able to do it because I don't have the authentication to do it, right? So that is exactly called as CORS. Kind of like in a broader attempt, you can't access other domain um data in it. So that is CORS, and we will create our first REST API. Woohoo! Then we will also be learning about some CRUD operations. What is CRUD
yeah.
operation? Pooja, I'm expecting this from you.
This is called operators. Operations: create, retrieve, update, delete.
Suburb. So we'll be using all these four operations for creating new records, updating new records, retrieving a list of records, and deleting records. So this is what we will be doing. And I'm sorry, Pooja. A lot of people have said GUI, so we will
Yeah,
be going with
yeah,
GUI.
and
Boom.
using the comments.
Yes. So yes, and with that being said, after the CRUD operations, we will be looking at different HTTP verbs like get, put, post, delete, and there are other things. I'll show you them. Then there are some HTTP status codes as well. 200 for OK, 404 for not found, 403 for forbidden, uh, 401 for unauthorized, those kind of things. And finally, there is some crazy HTTP codes which I'm going to demonstrate as well, like 418. What is 418, Pooja? Do you know that?
Or not? No, no, no. This
418.
is,
Okay,
no,
you will
no.
know it in a couple of minutes. And
Okay.
finally, we will also try to, if possible, we will try to deploy our API server online using Heroku or something like that. So let me know if there is anything else that you want me to talk about. We will take it up in a next webinar. So before that, please give this video a like, and if you have not subscribed, or if this is the first time, I'm gonna do a lot of things like this, so motivate me by subscribing to this channel and sharing the video with everyone. Okay, without further delay, let me quickly have a look at this. So
Yeah.
Rishikesh Das says, can you explain with MongoDB Atlas or local MongoDB? Currently we are not using database for this. We might use something like a JSON file, and then we will try to do the CRUD operations. This doesn't cover the database things because it's going to be ending in like another 1 hour. We don't want to take up a long time. பிரகாஷ் ராஜ் எனக்கு ஹிந்தி தெரியாதுப்பா. வேணா பூஜா வந்து translate பண்ணுவா. They are asking
What
for
was that?
English. I have like literally no clue about Hindi, so I'm very sorry
Okay,
about that, Prakash Raj.
I'm good with Hindi.
She is good with Hindi, so she will be acting as a translator in some cases, and we'll try to keep it in English because there will be a lot of
Yeah,
international participants from all over the world participating. So let's try to be language neutral. In worst case, we can go with Hindi or Tamil or Telugu or the local languages, because number of languages in India is so huge, right? So it's really tough. Superb. So great. So now what I'm going to do is I have already copied this link, right? A link with praveenscience at github.com, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'm just going to copy this one and go to my VS Code. And if I click on this page, the files on the file section on the left side, I can see that either I can clone a repository, I can open a folder. Since I don't have anything with me right now, I'm just going to click on clone repository. And if I don't click on this clone from GitHub, but paste this thing, you will get another option called clone from URL. If you click on that, it's going to ask you where we need to save this folder. So I'm just going to go to the downloads. I'll just go to my works folder and then select the repository location. So the moment I do it, it says, do you want to open the clone repository? Yes. Boom. There you go. We have got our workspace now. And now what I'm going to do is, there is nothing in this repository. It's completely empty. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing is I want to create a basic Node.js application. So the reason why I'm using VS Code is I don't need any of my, the folders or anything here. All I need to do is, if I want folders and files, I can use this part. If I need my terminal, I can use this part. So everything is integrated in VS Code. Now let's start with this one. Okay. So before that, I wanted to quickly share my plugins that I'm using. So here there are only like 6 plugins I'm mainly using. So Cobalt 2 is the theme, so we will just ignore it. ES7, React, Redux, GraphQL snippets are like, they are like really awesome. How many of you are lazy like me? I'm like the complete lazy person. There you go, Pooja. So I'm the complete lazy person ever. And this particular snippet has like, plugin has a lot of snippets that we can use it for leveraging our work. Then we have ESLint and Prettier, which is going to help us with writing the correct JavaScript code. In case if you are doing some mischievous JavaScript code, it's going to shout at you. Git history and Git lens will help you in a couple of ways. So if you see the Git lens, which is really nice, it has a nice feature. When you click on a line, it is going to show us who actually created that line. Let me show that. See, it says like you created this line 4 years ago, something like that, which is nice, right? And there are other 2 plugins, To Do Tree and VS Code icons. This is just for the icons that I have created, and To Do Tree is just a small cosmetic thing which helps me in finding any to do items that are there in the whole project folder. That's it. So let's close this out and let's start inside the demo. How many of you are ready now? Should we say demo? Cool. Let me quickly check the YouTube video for any other comments. Okay, Mudit has said he has created APIs in Spring. Okay, Spring Boot. That scares me because I'm not a Java person. For some reason, I hate Java. I don't know why. But anyway, that's there. And Suman says, +1, thank you. Software devs are born to be lazy. Come on, give me a high five, man. Mayuri, thanks for that. And Prakash Raj, thank you. Okay, now let's go ahead and start working on our first thing. So the first thing what we need to do is we need to initialize an NPM application. But before that, let's create an app file. Okay, so let's start with writing an app.js file. So if you want to type in, if you want to tell the user something, like say hello or something like that, like a message to the user, we will generally use something called as console.log. Okay, so I'm just going to create a console.log and I'm going to say hello everyone, and then I'm going to save. So how am I supposed to look at this? If this is a JavaScript file that is running on the browser, what I can do is I can just go to the let's say this is the browser. I can right click, inspect element, and look at this console, and I'll be able to see that. But if it is a Node.js application, what we need to do is we need to type in node and then app. App is the name of the file. So I'm just typing in, boom, I got hello everyone. But let's make it like a real application. Okay, so we will start with creating an npm package, and then we will go ahead with doing a lot of things. So to create an npm package, I'm just going to do npm init. It is like initializing your project. This is the first command that you will be doing. Okay, so this utility will walk you through the creating a package.json file. It only covers only the most common items, and you can also change all these things. After this, you can also update the file by editing something, which we will be doing now. So it is asking for the package name. I'm just going to say first node express API. So whatever that is there in that parenthesis is going to be the default thing. I'm going to say yes, this is what I want. Version 1.0, that's fine. Description, I'm just going to copy from here, but actually it is not available. So part of Praveen's YouTube live stream. And entry point, it automatically identified that we had an app.js. So yes, test command, I don't have any test command. So pressing enter. Then it's saying the Git repository to be with my username. Technically, I don't want this to be there, but let's go ahead and press enter. And after a few seconds, we will open the package.json and then we will change it. Keywords, let's use Node.js, Express.js, API. What else can we use for the keywords? REST. Yeah, that should be it. Author, I'll just put my name. And then license. License ISC means International Software Consortium. So I'll just leave it that way. And then it will say, I'm about to write this thing in the package.json. So this thing will be creating a file called package.json that will manage all the packages. You need to concentrate on your files. All the packages will be taken care of by npm. Okay, is this okay? I'm going to say yes. Now I'll just go to that package.json, and then the first thing which I wanted to do is I need to create a start script. Okay, so I'm just going to do start, and then the start I want to use node app, and then for the repository I don't want my username to be here, so I'm just removing the repository username, and then I'm going to save this, because see, when you see this one, it will automatically add the bugs URL as the issues and homepage as the readme file as well. So I'm just going to save this one. Now for those people who are looking to not use the command line and use the GUI, if you click on this button on VS Code, you can see that there are these two changes, and it's going to say these are untracked. So what I'm going to say is created a basic Express.js API. Sorry, it's not an Express.js, Node.js application. So I will be generally using a sentence cased with a past tense. Not almost, a lot of people, they use like a normal lowercase and like an ordering commanding way, but I use something like this. So this is the way people commit messages are totally different. So I'm using this way. It's not the same everywhere. So I'm just going to say yes for adding all these things, and then I'm going to push this code. The moment I push this code, if I go back and refresh this page, I can see that there is app.js and package.json. So let's start creating a README file as well. So I would strongly recommend to use something like Typora. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file called readme.md. And then I'm just going to open it with Typora. So let's reveal it in Finder. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly write only one line of code. So it's going to be, so why Typora? If I type something like this, so my first API, my first REST API using Node and Express. And then if I see, it's going to automatically convert it into the headings. And what I'm going to do is like introduction, which is going to be second level. And as a part of Praveen's live stream, I can get the, so whenever I save everything, it's going to save it here as well. And let me open up my video URL and try to add the link. So it is completely markdown. This is called as markdown. So HTML means hypertext markup language. So that is going to show you a rich text on the browser. The same way, if you want to see something human readable, we use markdown, and this is the markdown format. And we have got this whole thing saved. And then if you open this, it is going to be here. So I'm just going to add this file as well, and then say like added a readme document. So once I do this and I push it, so I can either click on this and push, or I can click on this one to synchronize it. So it will check what has happened, and if there is any upside new changes, or down from here there is new changes, it will automatically update all these things. So once this is done, I can directly go into this, and then if I refresh this page, I should be able to see my document here. Okay, so that's quickly what is the best way to create and update the documents and stuff like that. So that's what I have done so far. Now the next thing is, let's do one thing. Let's go ahead and start creating the first thing. So we know that we used a npm thing, right? So if I do npm start, that is where the start command, we created something like node space app. So if I do npm start, it is going to do the node app, and it's going to show hello everyone. So whenever I keep changing, the whole thing needs to change, right? So if I do like say hello GeeksGod or something like that, I need to go ahead, hit the npm start again. Okay, this is very bad. I mean, I feel so bad of changing it every single time. So what I can do is, there is something that's called nodemon. It monitors the JavaScript files, and based on that, it is going to restart the npm start here. So to install a package, go to the place where the package.json is and do npm install nodemon. Nodemon is the package name that I'm going to install right now. So now it is installed. So what I'm going to do next is, let's try to, okay, I guess I have forgotten to put this into the node mode. I mean, like, this should not be into the thing. So I'm going to create a getignore file. I don't want to add all these modules into my version control, because that needs to be installed for that particular operating system and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna do go here, add a getignore. This is something which I should have done it before installing nodemon, and installed nodemon. So what I generally suggest people to do is do a lot of commits in a smaller time, so you can actually see how your application has come up. So if you see here, oh, I haven't pushed it, so I'll just do a git push here. And if you see this, you have like about 4 commits, and each commit you started with a basic Node.js application, then you added a README document, you added gitignore, and you installed nodemon. So you will see how the whole application has developed over time, and you can go back in time, because if you have done a lot of commits in a small amount of period, it will give you like a better way of tracking the changes, and you can easily go back. Okay, let's quickly look at the YouTube comments. Hey, no one is late. Don't worry. We haven't gone into the real stuff yet. So, hey, Ajinkya, and hey, everyone. Right. So, let's go on. Now, the first thing that we are going to do is, we need to install the Express.js. Before that, what exactly is Express.js? Express.js is a web server. Right now, we can only see all these things in the JavaScript console, right? Now, what I'm going to do is, since I have installed nodemon, the first thing I'm going to change is the start script needs to use nodemon. Okay, so now start script uses nodemon instead of node. If I do this and do npm start now, it's going to say hello everyone. And if I close this one, and if I do like hello GeeksGod, and save it, it immediately restarts the application and shows hello GeeksGod. So if I do back to hello everyone, it's going to say hello everyone. So which is good, right? Now the next thing is we need to install the Express.js. So for that, I'm just going to close this one and then start npm install Express. So what is Express.js really? So if you check out Express.js, it's an unopinionated, minimal, fast web framework for Node.js. Yes,
Praveen,
Pooja.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do npm start express dash dash save. What is the difference between
Okay,
that and
that was an old way of installing the npm packages. Uh, Prior to npm 5, I guess, they were you need to explicitly set hyphen save, but now you don't need to do it. Now we just did npm install express, right? If you see the package.json, it has already added into the dependencies.
yes.
This will not happen if you are using an older version of Node.js, which is no more available. So don't worry. Almost all these people, like right now, I believe everyone is using the latest version. So always keep updating to the latest stable version. So the latest version doesn't require the dash dash save. Now it requires dash dash no save, because by default it is going to save it to the package.json. Okay, so we have installed Express.js. So how are we going to do something next? Okay, the first thing what we need to do is, a lot of people, I believe, they come from the object-oriented programming background, right? For example, Java or something like that. So first thing is we need to import the Express.js, like how you generally import system.io or something like that. We need to do const express equal to require. We'll be using a require function and we'll use express here. Okay, this is how we will be importing something. Now we have got express inside our machine, inside our program, but this is the express library, express framework. Okay, so this is yeah, it doesn't say any what is the type or something. So it's a class, so we need to instantiate it into an object. So our app is going to be an instance of the express server. So we will do this way. It is similar to like new express of express app equal to new express of we use that syntax, right? It is almost similar. So we have got our express installed. Okay, express, we are starting to use this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do npm start again, but before that, let's do we need to listen this application to a port. So we will use a port number 3000. So app we'll create a port. Okay, so let's declare a port which is going to be 3000. So it's like a website that runs on a particular port. Okay, so now this app needs to listen on the particular port. So the first thing is the port, and then the second thing will be a callback function, which we can give a console.log saying server started on port. I'm using a template literal so that I don't need to. So this is almost the same thing like this one. So if I do this and I can do something like this, instead of doing this way of writing the code is very easy, right? So this is called as template literals, and it is available from the latest version of JavaScript now. So in the latest versions of Node.js, you can use this. So I'm just going to save this and then do npm start again. So it says server started on port number 3000 and it has not stopped. So it is still listening. So what we will do is we will go to the page and then do localhost. So if you want to connect to your own computer, you can use either localhost or 127.0.0.1 or your computer's IP address or your computer's name. So let's go with localhost 3000. It says cannot get slash. Okay, first thing, we have made the Express.js to run on a server. So you have made your computer as a web server. Okay, so you can see that here it says on this website, it says it's local cannot get slash. Okay, so started running a web server. Right. So I'm just going to create another terminal tab so that I can push the code. Okay. So I'll just do the push here and Now all this code is available online in the GitHub repository. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly copy this GitHub URL and then send it over on the YouTube channel. So here it is. So any questions so far? Has it been like easy? What do you think, Pooja? Pooja is going to
Yeah.
be learning for the first time, right? So
Yeah.
how is it?
Yeah. Everything is going normal for me.
Okay, please give any questions that are available. Just type in your
Yeah.
questions. I'm happy to take it up, and we will wrap it in 45 minutes maximum. Okay, and at the end of this whole thing, you will be having a surprise. You all will be having a surprise. Pooja, you have got a special surprise as well. So stay tuned. Right. So let's go on. The next thing that we are going to do is we will start with, so it automatically said it is error and it says cannot get slash. So let's try to make it work. So we will be using app dot get. So it says get, right? So first thing will be the URL, and then the second one will be a request handler. So request handler will take in a request and a response. Then inside this, for response, we can give a JSON response, and then I'm just going to say hello geeks god and save it. If I refresh this page, it's going to say me hello geeks god. I can even do something like hello everyone and save it. Says yeah. So we have actually created a first endpoint, get endpoint. So we can even do something like welcome to API server. Okay. So now if I refresh
Praveen.
this, yes.
Yeah. Sometimes we write that respond dot render or redirect. What was that? What is that?
We don't do any response dot redirect in any kind of REST APIs.
But
so
when
REST APIs will not have any redirects.
okay.
Respond dot send. Yeah, that's a good question. So if I do a send instead of this thing, so this is going to send me as the HTML text. It's just a text. So if you see here in the console, how it shows us, if I refresh this page, what does this say as the content type? It says text bar HTML, right? So if I change this to rest.json and save it and refresh this page, it's going to show me as application bar JSON, application stroke JSON. This is the most preferred format for almost all the React applications or client side applications. This is always better. And also I have asked everyone to install something called as Postman. So Postman is one which helps you in debugging or making the API calls. I'm really sorry, Postman doesn't have a zoom in functionality, but let me try to zoom in. Oh, there is actually there. Okay, it's command U. Boom. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do a new environment. No, it's not a new environment. How am I supposed to make like
Praveen,
yes?
Sashi Praveen has asked this question. Why respond.json instead of response.render?
Okay, I just explained that. Do you want to explain them? Oh, rest.render. Okay, what
Yeah.
does rest.render actually do? Even I'm not sure. Sorry, just a second. I haven't used rest.render anytime. Oh, got it. Rest.render is mainly for views. So we are not creating any GUI right now. We are just creating an API server. So API server is mainly for data, only data. So we are not using any views here, no GUI here. That is the reason we are not using any rest.render. We are just using rest.json for JSON output. All right. Right. Yes, EJS templates. EJS is one of the templating engine for JavaScript, and then that is going to help us in rendering these things. So yes, we are not using rest.render. We are not rendering any UI. Got it. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. And let's carry on. So this is what we have got. So what we will do is we will just create a new request page, and then I'm just going to put HTTP localhost. There's no 3000 here, so I'm just gonna use 3000 and then open up
Mhm.
this one and press enter. It's going to send the request. It's going to say status as 200 okay. 200 okay means successful, and the type of response is JSON,
Yes,
which you can see here, and then this will help you in identifying what exactly is saying. Okay, so that's actually good. And then apart from these things, let's carry on with the next one. So we have got our first root created. Okay, so we will always use the JSON root, and then let me check what is the current scenario. Okay, so I'm just gonna add, I'm just gonna do a commit amend, and then I'm just gonna push the code. Now you can see that created a first get endpoint is created now. Okay, this is how we generally create endpoints. So that is one of the things that we kind of did. Okay, the next thing is we have created a basic Node.js application. We have seen what nodemon is. We have seen what express.js and what it does. Let's start looking into middlewares in Express. Okay, the first middleware that we are going to use is Morgan. Okay, so what does this Morgan do? Whenever we are trying to run anything, we don't know what exactly is happening here. So it just says server started in port 3000. That's it, right? Okay, let's do one thing. Let's close this one. Let me install Morgan. Okay, npm install Morgan. So we will see what exactly it does. So how many of you come from a background where you have worked with LampStack? I worked with LampStack, Apache server, PHP server, etc. So how many of you have done the same? So Morgan is a middleware. What is a middleware? You have your user who is going to request a resource from the server, like request a web page from the server or an endpoint from the server. And in the middle, if someone is there and then tries to tap the request and make some changes and send the response, that is called as a middleware. And we are going to use Morgan now. So how are we going to include Morgan in our application? We'll use Morgan, const Morgan equal to require Morgan. So this will add Morgan to our page. And how are we going to use Morgan? So here we will just create a small comment saying like, uh, should I add comments for all the things that I have done? Let me know. Please let me know in the comments. Pooja, if people say a lot of people say like we need comments, I'm gonna add all the comments for it. Okay. So app.use, we need to use something, right? So we'll use Morgan, and we need to run Morgan here, and we need to see the what is the particular format. I'm just going to go with like, let's say dev format, and then I'm going to save this. The moment I save it, and let me like add Morgan in dev format. Let's see what happens now. I'm going to do the npm start, and it says server started in the page in port 3000. If I refresh this page, boom, I got something like get slash 200. It took me 5948 milliseconds, and some 24 is there. If I refresh this again, I still get 24. Oh, 24 is the number of characters that it has sent to the website. So this will actually says 24 characters that are selected. This is what has been sent as the body of the request. And this is a request is like successful request. So we have given the status code as 200, and the path slash the request method is get, and it took 0.3 millisecond for us to process the request. So this is what has happened, and this log is what Morgan does. Let's see what other formats Morgan is giving us. So let's say there is combined format. Let's see what it does. So it started, and then let's see if I refresh this page, I got a lot of more details now. So I've got the remote IP address. I got the date and time when it was requested along with the time zone. Then it is a get request using HTTP 1.1 protocol. 200 is the success message. Sorry, 200 is the status code. 24 bytes of data has been sent. I don't know what this one is. This is the user agent that was accessing this one. So if I try to use the Postman to send the request, I got almost the same thing. The only difference is the user agent is totally different, which is Postman runtime /726.5. So with this being said, I can do one thing. So based on the request agent, I can actually change the request to give a different request for the browser and different request for the Postman people. Okay, for API debugging and doing a lot of things with the APIs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do a if condition here. So let's see what exactly I'm getting in the request headers. Okay, so I'm going to do console.log req dot. I guess there will be a headers. So let's see what this does. To be honest, so let me send this code. So I got like a lot of things, and there is one thing called as user agent. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try logging this user agent part, and then if I send it here, it says Postman runtime, and the same way if I refresh it here, it's going to say some Mozilla and other things. So I know that there is Postman here, right? So if I try to see dot index of, so what index of does is it will check the substring that is given in a string. So I'm going to do index of Postman, and the first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it into to lowercase, and then I'm going to do the Postman as lowercase. And if this is more than -1, because when the uh, when the substring starts from the 0th position, it's 0 indexed, so it will be having a 0 position as well. So this will be giving me whether it is having this particular element or not. So if I send the request, it's going to send me true, and the same way if I go to my browser and do a refresh and go back to my page, it's going to say false. Okay, so we have got our if then else statement here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a variable called let response, and the response is going to be welcome to API server. But before that, I want to do an if condition. If the Postman is set, in that case, resp will be hello developer, and then I'm just going to put this whole thing, replace it with resp, and then add it here. Okay, so now if I save this one, it says server started. I'm just going to go refresh this page. I get welcome to API server. When I go to Postman and try to send this, it says hello developer. This is a small quick hack that we can do. We can show it as a different code for the developers who are using Postman to access, and for the people who are using browsers, something like that we can do. And we can also specifically dedicate the same thing for Internet Explorer users as well. Hey, you are using Internet Explorer, that's like 10-year-old browser, why don't you try changing it, why don't you try upgrading it, something like that we can do it. So these are the things that are possible with user agent. And one more
Praveen,
thing, this is not always a reliable place to start with. So
Praveen,
yes.
yeah, they are saying, audience are saying that stream is lagging.
Is it lagging?
Yeah, they are saying.
Okay, I'm sorry, let me check. No, it says excellent connection. Yeah. Seems like my internet connection is a bit crazy. Just give me a second. I'll see what I can do. Like try to keep the encoder in a better way, better position. Okay, so I believe it should be fine. Just give me a couple of seconds. I'll just be back, like very quick.
Hello, Praveen. They are saying now it is all right.
Hey, sorry folks, I'm back.
Yeah,
So
it's okay now.
I hope it was
Yes,
fine. I just
yeah, it's
tried
fine.
to change the couple of like a position in the router. Okay, so now I'm adding a condition to differentiate between a normal user, okay, user and developer. Okay, so that's been done. Now let me push the changes. Great. So the next thing that we will be doing is we have done so far these things. So we have seen what exactly is Express.js, what a middleware does, and let's now look into cores. What are their uses and how can people misuse it? Okay. So
Praveen,
if yes,
Pooja Agarwal is asking, sir, you can explain how to use Postman.
yes, sure. So the Postman, when you start Postman, it shows something like this. So if you create a new tab, a new request, you can create a new request. You can use any kind of like different request methods. So get is for getting retrieving some data. Post is for posting, like creating a new data. Put is for updating data. Patch is for updating one field in a data. Delete is for deleting a data. And other options are there. So you can either use them or like you can do those things. So then you have to give the request URL. So we are currently using the localhost 3000, right? So that is the URL here, and then you can either send or you can send and download. If you are doing a post method, you can also add some body. Immediately there are like so many headers. There are like 7 headers are added because if you do a post, then there is a postman token also added, and if you are doing get, some things are removed. Okay, so there are 6 items here: Postman token, host, user agent, accept encoding, and connection. But if you are doing post, it will also add a content length, which will be automatically added to indicate that this is a post connection, post request, and something like that. And here you can use like a raw data, and you can send it as like a JSON data. And again, there will be another thing that gets added, which says like uh, content type would have been added here, so that will be added, and then you can type in the JSON data and then you can send it. One more thing which you can do is you can also use GraphQL and other ways. So this is form data, you can send it like key value pairs, and then if it is a raw data, you can send it using JSON or anything. So those kind of things you can do. This is what is the basic like a basic thing in um, Postman. So it's very easy to use. All you need to do is you just need to put a URL and then start sending your requests, whether it is get, put, post, or delete. These are the 4 requests that we are commonly using. That's it. Any more questions on Postman? How is the explanation okay?
One more question from Pooja Agarwal. How to post some value and get response?
We will be doing that right now in a few seconds. That is what we are here for. So we will be doing that. Okay. So let's. So for some reason, my internet connection is slow or something like that. It is the full HD view is like bit laggy. So don't worry. I have actually set it up, and I believe it should be working fine. So let's see how it goes. And let me try to put the quality as 1080p. Yeah, thank you. If you have any other questions, please don't um, hesitate to ask. That's completely fine for me. All right. Okay, let's go ahead. And now we have created the basic middleware, and now we will be looking at how CORS works. Okay, so what is CORS? So first thing, let's say I have this API server here, and it is a browser's mechanism to prevent malicious use. Okay, so there are people like Pooja as well. She enables the CORS in almost all the sites. Pooja, it is very bad, very dangerous for you, because if there are some malicious sites that can kind of like cross domain, give a cross domain request, it might actually screw up your personal information. So be careful about that. Okay.
Okay.
So when you are trying to do CORS, what happens is, okay, let me show it with an example. So okay, so when the client tries to request foo, foo.css, the CSS files might always have requests to. Let me open this in a new tab. Okay, generally CSS files tend to have resources that are coming from other domains, right? For example, a CDN domain or something like that. So what happens is, um, if a CSS file requests an image from another domain, say this CSS file is coming from the domain x.com, it is downloaded to the folder and downloaded to the client, and the browser looks into the rules and it is saying like it needs a font file from domain y.com. So at that point of time, this other domain has an option whether to explicitly allow the request to carry on or to block it. So for that, it can have a particular header which says access control allow origin, and if it says the self domain, the only domain like domain y.com, this request will be abruptly stopped by Google Chrome, the Chrome browser or Firefox browser, or I'm not sure about Internet Explorer, but most of the times it will happen. And the latest Edge browsers, because that runs on Google Chrome and WebKit, like the WebKit and Blink. So it is the same with Safari as well, and Opera too. Opera has this. I guess Opera is also right now working on Blink browser. Almost everyone is using Blink now. So Blink is the rendering engine that works behind Google Chrome. Okay, so that is what is going to happen. So once you do that, the browser will actually check whether this access control allow origin, this particular header, is present or not. If it is present, what is the value? If it is not present, it will abruptly stop the request. And if it is present, it is going to check whether the value is star, which means anything, just allow it from anywhere, and then it will check. If it is not there, it's going to stop the request. So I'm just going to try to check if that actually works. So I'm on localhost 3000. Here I'm on Google Chrome. Okay, sorry, google.com. Now I can quickly use a oh wow, look at this. This console may allow attackers to impersonate and self accesses. Okay, do not enter any paste code. Okay, that's fine. So I'm just going to fetch the request from this. So this is a get request, right? So I'm just going to fetch it from here and then try to press enter. So what do you see here? This is the best example of how Chrome has protected you from accessing something. Say, for example, let's say google.com is a malicious domain. I'm sorry, Google, don't look at me that way. Anyway, Google looks at my activities, right? We know everything. So Google knows everything. Okay, so the moment it tries, okay, let me clear everything and then do the fetch. So it is trying to do a promise, and then when it tried to access HTTP localhost 3000, what happened here is, let's clear it. Let's run it again, and let's go to the network. You can clearly see that it says failed, because failed with an error failed, which means what it says is it doesn't say much here. It doesn't show anything. And if you go back to our console, it says access to fetch at localhost 3000 from origin google.com blah 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 has been blocked by CORS policy. It says no access control allow origin header is present on the requested resource. If an opaque response, so make sure you need to do these things with the course disabled, something like that. And immediately it says that promise is failed. So what we can do is to avoid this, like if we want to allow people to use our API everywhere, we need to create another middleware. Okay, so let's try to use a course middleware. Okay, so we can use our own API middleware as well. So what happens is it's going to take a request handler, which has again request, response, and finally a next function. Okay, so First one is request handler, response handler, and the next function.
Praveen,
Yeah.
if course is malicious, then why we are using? Then why need to
Let's
use?
say if you are providing a public API, for example, you are providing something like a COVID API, COVID
Yeah.
rates. We want to see what is the rate everywhere, and you are providing that for free, or there are like some currency APIs that are available for people to use in their own websites. For those kind of things, you can use the access control allow origin.
Okay.
Now, what we need to do is we need to set the request headers here. Sorry, response headers. So I can do rest.header and then add a field which says the access control, whatever that it said. Like let's copy that from here itself and then paste it here. And then we'll just give a star here. And once this happens, we need to run the next command. Now, if we save this, this will automatically have restarted. And let's also see if this actually, okay, before that, let's try to do it again. So we will clear all these things again, and then let's try to do the fetch once again. It says promise, no errors. So if I click on this one, it says error 200. Sorry, status is 200. It says welcome to API server. And if you see here in the response headers, it says access control allow origin star. So from google.com, you will be able to access this code. Cool. This is one way to allow the CORS, allow people to use your API in their own websites. And that is what CORS does. And now we will be creating our first REST API by using some routing. Okay. So let's see what exactly are routers in Express.js. So let's go back. And so we have done all these things. This is one thing that is mainly required for using the CORS. So what we can do is we can also do this way. So we can try to do this as a CORS file. So I'm just going to create a new file which says cors.js and add this one and do export default and save it. So I don't think export default will work here. So const cors equal to this and then module.exports equal to cors. So this is what I have done here. Now, if I try to use cors, generally it should actually allow me to import it automatically, but it doesn't. So let's do const cors equal to require. And here, this is our own application, right? So we need to do /, and then we'll use the CORS without the .js file extension. So now what happens is, if you do this, even this will work correctly. So if I try to go back to our thing, it actually blocked. So let's try to, yep, promise works. Boom. Welcome to API server. Created our own CORS middleware. This is one of the middleware. So by the way, what happened to that comment? Should I add comments for every single link, single line of code? Okay. Yeah, Prakash, I just explained why we should be using CORS, and that is something which we have done. Devlina, do you want to explain something what you have learned so far? So that based on that, I'm gonna send the link to get the certificate. So whoever is attending the code, like the live stream right now, you'll be getting the certificate link right now. Okay. So Prakash Raj, one more thing. For people who want to use our public API, we are creating something open source for the people to consume. So on their websites. For that purpose, we will be putting it online, and also we have to make sure that this particular what do you call this? Whatever let it happen, this will not affect your computer. It will make sure your computer is saved. So it doesn't cause any damage. So we will be taking all the precautions of all the malicious activities. We will put some load balancers and then we'll put it to public. So in that way, in simple terms, if you are trying to create a website, like let's say whether it is youtube.com or facebook.com, it is already available for the public to use, right? So there is a definitely there is a possibility that the attacks can happen. So we will be using some kind of a firewall or some kind of like a protection mechanism, and then we will be doing the output. Right now we are just dealing with small amount of data, so we are not going to use much. So we won't be affected much. That is what I was trying to say. Great. So I'm going to send the certificate link in like 5 to 10 minutes. I haven't received it. So once I receive it, I will immediately send it over and you can get your certificates. That's great. The next thing, let's go ahead with the next stuff. So we will be using the, we have actually created our REST API. Now let's try to use some modular routing techniques. Okay. So what exactly a modular routing techniques mean? So let's do course, middlewares, or else let's, no one actually bothered about the, what do you call this, comments, right? So I'm just not going to add any comments for now. If you need the comments, let me know. I'll just add it. So let's push the code so far. Great. So Prakash Raj is happy as well. So with the answer that I gave. Now let's try to create some API kind of a thing. So if I do something like API root, I want to do like say create a new file API/root.js. So this is going to be the root API. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to create an Express instance. So import Express. So require Express, and I need to create my own router, right? So I'll do the, this is not the complete Express.js application. So I'm not going to initialize Express, but I'm just going to initialize Express.router, and then I'll do module.exports app. Okay. So if I do app.get here, and I'll just give like request response.
Praveen?
Yeah.
Rishikesh Das is asking, can we use course package?
Yes, course package does
Like
more
in
than this.
Vim,
You can either use course package or you can use this way. So technically, course will have only this set. So it will also have something like access control, allow methods, and other things as well. So it is always better to use a CORS package rather than using your own implementation, which I would recommend. Okay. So this is in /API. So I'm just putting some value like this. And then what I'm going to do is, if I want to use the routing, I'm just going to do the app.use again. So for the /API, what I want you to use is, let's do const API equal to require API/root. So whatever that happens here, it's going to happen in the root. Okay. So API, I'm just putting this one. If I save this, and then if I go back to, where's this one? So if I do /API here, I'll be able to see it is in /API. And we just created a modular route for API. So that we have done. Now this is the root of the API, right? So what we can do is we can create more modules here. So let's say we have /users/ something like that. So let's do with users.js. So this will be /API/users, and then let's use another one say todo.js. Okay, we have got two files and we will be doing the same thing almost. Okay, so let's add this one and this one here. So let's save these two things and we will say that this is in /API/users, because whatever comes inside this is going to have the whole path here. Okay, then /API/todo. And now we need to add these two things in the root. Okay, so const users equal to require /users. The same way we'll use to do as well. So this is just an example, and we will be using app.use slash users. We'll be using the users path, and this to do will be using to do. Okay. Now created two more modular routes to users and to do. So if I do like slash to do, it's going to say it is API slash to do. So correctly, it is referring to this page. Okay. Now we can start with our to do operations. So let's create a simple, let to do to do's be a big array. Definitely, it's going to be an array, right? So when you try to use the get operation for this one, it is going to get all the data out of this. So instead of using something like this, I'm just going to put to do's. When you do a get request, I want you to see all the list of to do's that I have got. So what I have done here is initialized a data of to do's and implemented get request. Any questions so far? So this is the most important part where we are actually doing the APIs. So by the way,
Praveen,
yes.
I want to ask that what is the difference between that REST API and rest of the APIs? Like,
Okay, REST API and the rest of the API. That's a
yeah.
nice way of asking this question. Okay, by the way, for people who are looking for their certificates, please check this out. Check the link here. Use this, fill this form, and then get your certificates. Okay, so REST APIs versus rest of APIs. So let's say, so the first thing what happens is the REST APIs are mainly for not storing any kind of a sessions. Like they don't have any kind of session storage. Always you will be using an API, a token to authenticate to check whether this is correct or not, and then they won't have any states like what do you call this, HTTP states, right? So REST APIs will not know whether you have logged in or logged out. If you give a particular URL particular request to an endpoint, it will always return the same output. So that is a REST API. Whereas other APIs are the normal APIs. What we are currently building is a normal API. This normal API will have this can have the session storage and all the other things. So it will be able to know what exactly you are doing, who you are, and it maintains a session between us. It has a cookie stored. So those kind of things will be there. That is a normal API, not a REST API. Today we are going to build a normal API, not a REST API. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm still waiting for Devlina to answer something like what she knows, what she learned, because without learning something, and if you are getting a certificate, that is no use, right? So please, when you are taking a certificate, that is awesome, that's good, but at the same time, please make sure you know what you are if you are learning something, try to implement it. Submit your yeah, by the way, if you can just give me a LinkedIn request as well to this is my LinkedIn. Connect with me, subscribe to this channel, and once you send me a LinkedIn request, you can also send me what you have done so far based on this webinar, so that it will also make me feel happy. Okay, I have done a change for you all, and something like that. I have taught you something. Okay, so let's quickly implement the REST methods. Okay, the CRUD methods. So this will actually create get all the list of to dos. Now if you do app.post is where you will be creating a new to do. Okay, so when it creates a new to do, I want it to send the to do's ID and all those things. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a GUID generator, or maybe I can use the to do's.length and add one to it. So what I'm going to do now is with request and response, let's start with, so now if you want to use a post body, you need something like a body parser or something like that. So express.json is one of the body parsers that we generally use. So we can actually use express.json, and we'll try to see what is actually happening in the response.body. So rest.json, and then I'm going to do req.body. So if I do this and I can't,
One
yeah.
question. Yeah, that request dot body is containing everything which is containing in body. That
Yes.
return everything. But request dot parser we use sometimes. Why that?
Which one?
Request dot parser or parse? Yeah.
So that is
Sometimes I have seen.
converted into express.json. We can use this express JSON encoder for that is actually body parser. So normally you won't be getting access to this body parameter unless you use a JSON body parser. So now we are using a JSON body parser. There are like multiple things. There was a body parser application that was now taken care by Express itself. So this is a Express built-in body parser that we are going to use as a middleware for this. Okay, now we have added express.json as a middleware. Now it's going to send out the request.body. So that is what we are going to try checking out if this is going to come correctly or not. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to send it as a post request, and then this is going to be a JSON request. So here I'm just creating a body which says username, hello, password, I won't say, something like this. And then I'm sending a post request now. So here also I have given app.post. Okay, if I click on this send, I'm able to receive all these two things, right? So all I need to know is I need to only have one to-do application. So the to-do text. Okay. So what I'm going to expect is a request.body.text. Okay. So if this is set, then I'm going to if if type of request.body.text is not equal to undefined, then I am doing something. Okay. So rest.json. So first thing, I need to get the text, right? So I need to push this text into the to-dos. So to-dos dot push this one. And if I push it, I need to send the ID. So I can do to-dos dot length -1. That is going to be the ID. And yeah, so for now, this is okay because I'm anyway saying it is done. Okay. Else, I'm going to tell the error. Okay. For that, I need to set the status code. Okay. So I'm just going to call the status with a code saying it's a client error, right? So what will be the range of the status code? 200s are informational, 300s are redirect, 400s are client errors, 500s are server errors. So I'll be using 400, which is a bad request. And then I'm going to tell them a message saying you have to enter text. Okay, so this is what I'm doing now. Okay, now if I try to send this code as a post request, you can clearly see that it says 400 bad request because there is no text found. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of all these things, changing it to text, and then send it. Now it shows me 0, which means 0 is the ID. And I'm going to do like milk and send. It says 1, which means 1 is the ID. Now if I try to do the get request for the same, it's going to show me hello and milk, right? So milk was 2, right? And it's also giving me milk as, milk was 1, right? So this is 0th ID. This is 1 ID. Now what we can do is we can also create another request. So we have implemented the post request. Implemented.
Pooja is asking that why do we need a body parser?
Without body parser, you won't be getting access to the request.body because it is one of the complicated headers to get it. So that's the reason we need to use this body parser. One of the body parsers is express.json, which is built-in JSON body parser. Okay. Nice. Now let's try to delete something. Okay, so before doing the deletion, let's try to edit this. So we know that we before editing also we need to go for a particular to do. Okay, so let's say I want to find what is the first to do or something like that. It will not work because it's going to say status for not found. So if you want to insert something dynamic, you can't see putting like get/1 or something like that. Now we will be doing get to do id. Okay, so what we are going to do is, if to do's of to do id is available, then what we are going to do here is we will just put to do's of to do id. Okay, why am I putting a plus in front of it? I'm just making sure it is a number. So plus is a unary operator in JavaScript that converts a string into a number. Generally, these parameters will be in a string. So what is this to-do ID? Where am I getting the to-do ID from? So I can just get the to-do ID from const to-do ID equal to request.params. Okay, so it is coming from the parameters. Okay, so let's try doing this. If to-do ID is present, if it is not null, then I'm sending the contents of the to-do ID. Else, what I need to do? What status code I need to put now? Come on, Pooja. I'm not able to find this particular to-do. So what is the status code?
404.
Exactly. And I can just put JSON to-do item not found. So even if someone adds a to-do item not found as one of the to-dos, they can see that the status code is 200, then it is a normal status. Okay. So now if I try to send this, it's going to say to-do item not found. Okay. And if I go back again and do a post request on this and save it, it's going to say milk. I'm going to give curd. I'm going to give chocolate. And if I do get request to this, I get curd. If I do a get request to 0, I get milk. Boom, that's done. So here we have, in a simple way, we have implemented a get request for a particular to do. Okay, getting one single to do item. Okay, we have implemented that part. Any other questions from the people?
No, not yet.
Nice. So this is called as a root parameters, and this is a dynamic root parameter. So the to-do ID can be anything given by the user. Okay, so that is perfect. Now the next thing that we are going to do is how we are going to update the particular to-do. So we can use a way to do it, like there is a request called put. Okay, so if you go again, you need to go for this particular to-do ID, not for everything. Then what we need to do is req res, and then the first thing, whatever we are doing, like for example, if this particular to-do is not there, we are going to shout at them saying this to-do is not there or something like that. If not, we are going to get the body parser. So for put, you need the body parser. So let's add the body parser. And then instead of doing to-dos.push, what we will be doing is we will be just updating this to-do. Okay, so we will update the to-do with the latest to-do. So it's going to be request.text. Okay, so we also need to do one more change as well. First, we need to check this. And then the second thing that we need to check is this one. So if this is the case, then it's going to be a 403 error. Sorry, 400 error. Okay, so there are two errors now in this. So first thing is, if this particular to-do itself is not found, we are going to give a status 404. Then if you are not sending this text inside the body, we are going to say bad request. And finally, we are giving 200 as the normal request, where we are updating this body text. Perfect. Okay, let's try to see if this works. So before that, with Why am I not able to see the changes? I'm able to see the changes. So here we have implemented the put. Okay, implemented put request for updating to do item. So this is for one particular item only. Okay, right. So let's see. Let's go back to our Postman. Let's start with milk, and it's going to be a post on to do, and let's send. Say 0. Good. So the one thing about when we restart the Node.js server, we are storing everything in the variables. So at this point of time, it is storing only in the memory. So it will not be available again when you restart. So that's the reason I am adding everything again and again. Curd, chocolate. I'll just put poda day. Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to put poda day, right? Oops. Sorry. If I go back to get request and try to send this, okay, I don't want something called poda day, but instead what I want to do is I want to change it from poda day to what do you want? What shall we buy?
Fruits. Take some fruits.
And then when we send, it says 200. It is not supposed to say 200 actually. That's interesting. It needs to say something else. So we need to give a status of another status. What is that? First thing, for the post request itself, we need to give another status. It's not supposed to be 200. It should be 201 that is created. And here we need to give a 202 that is accepted. Okay. So now this, if I try to do a get request again, it's going to show me fruits. And if I try to get the whole thing, it's going to show me fruits here as well. Okay. Let's try to change the chocolates as well. So 0, 1, 2. Mummy will shout at us for adding lots of chocolates. So what shall we do? Something healthy. Apples. Okay. Now, if I try to get request on everything, we get milk, curd, apples, and fruits. Perfect. That works. So now let's go ahead and save the updates. So what all changes that we have done? Added new status codes for put and post request. So now what happens is, if I go to API to do and do a post request, instead of 200, I'll be getting 201 created. A new thing has come. So if I do 0 and then change the apples to apple and then use a get request, use a put request, it's going to say 202 accepted. The request has been accepted and it's been processed as well. So something like that. Okay. So that has been done. So this is a basic implementation of a API endpoint. And finally, we are coming to the delete part. So app.delete. So we will be using the to-do ID. Let's use the request and response again. So this will be a combination of this one as well. So here we'll be getting the to-do ID, everything, and making sure this particular thing is there. And if to-dos are not to do, we are giving 404 not found. Else, what we will be doing here is, we don't need a body parser for this. 202 accepted can be done, and this can be set as null. Okay. Null or undefined we can do. We don't need to give any of these things. So we can give 203, which is a no content, I guess. 204 is no content, I guess. So let me save this. This doesn't make sense. So let's get rid of this. Oops, no. Yeah, that works. Okay, so let's try to create a new to-do. So post to-do send 0, 0. Okay, before that, Let's try to get it. Apple. Use delete 0 send. I need to send something really. So no content I'm sending. Okay. So let's send it. To do item not found, which is 404. Perfect. So I'm just going to do a post. Send 0 get to do's, that is Apple. Delete to do /0 204 no content, but it's a success message. And if I try to go get again for 0 404, this one, it shows null here because we already used up the first the 0th location, so we don't want to reuse it again for others. That is what we are doing here. So we have implemented the delete method as well. So I'm just going to send this over. So what do you think, everyone? So this is a basic way of understanding a couple of things. So I told everyone that there is a special request as well. Okay, so what is HTTP? Let's look at all the HTTP status code. So there is this http statuses.com, which I'll be sending you now in the thing. So this particular thing has all those things. So 203, we don't use this. 202 is accepted. Okay, you have accepted the change. 201 is created a new record. 200 is okay. This is a perfect one. Then we have 204, no content. Or we can even do reset content, like 205 we can give. Then you can also use already reported for instead of 404 for deleted. But yes, we can do this way. And we can also do something like for 301, we are not going anything related to redirection. For client error, clients are meant to supposed to cause a lot of errors, right? So in that case, we have like 400 bad request. You do something that is wrong. 401 is unauthorized, which means you have been logged in, but you are not authorized to view this page. It is like accessing say Pooja's email from my account, which is not allowed, right? 402 is payment required, which is so new to the API world. So we are not discussing about that. 403 is forbidden. Like for example, directly if you are not logged in and you're trying to access a page that needs to be logged in, it says forbidden, and similar to our White House next year. And then finally, 404, not found, very common. 405 is method not allowed, which is most commonly used when you are trying to use a put request on the slash or post or delete request on the slash, which is supposed to be done on a particular item. Okay, so that's method not allowed. 406 not acceptable. We can either give 406 for the bad request, which we have been using. 400. 400 is a generic term. We can use 406 for that. 407 is proxy authentication required. Most of the corporate people will know this. 408 is a request timeout. This happens between two servers when a server is a load balancer that is trying to access another server. You will try to use 408 when this server is not responding for a long time. It says like response timeout, request timed out. And then 409 is conflict. Let's say you're trying to, okay, where can a conflict occur? I'm just thinking about a way where a conflict could occur because I used it very recently. Great. 409 conflict can occur when you are trying to create a file, create a to-do that is already existing. We can actually implement this. So for example, if the milk is already there, you are trying to do once again that one, you can actually stop people from doing it. So in our app.post, we are trying to do to-dos.push without doing any thoughts, right? So if to-dos dot index of req dot body dot text is greater than -1, which means it is already existing, right? Then you can do rest dot status you can give 409, which is a conflict, and say already exists. And then else you can do the pushing part. So now if I try to go back to our Postman and try to do the first, let's try to get everything. So nothing is there. So I'm just going to post Apple. Good. 409 conflict. There is already existing. Indicates that because there is an ed conflict. So something like that we can use for that one. And then we have got 410 gone and other things. So there are like loads and loads of HTTP statuses. But there is something peculiar. What is this 418? I'm a teapot. This is actually a cute error. It's a April's Fool's prank, and even Google has implemented this. Boom, that's a error. Oops. Okay, that's a real error. So let's try teapot. Boom, I'm a teapot. It's a 418 error. And if you click on this, it's gonna pour a nice hot coffee on it, or a tea, whatever you say. So there you go. So that's cool, right? And with that, we are coming to the end of this thing because we have already gone 15 minutes over our thing. So let me stop my screen sharing and let's see what next we can do. So what do you think, people? How was it? So people who are actually looking for the certificates, they can get the certificates. And I hope everyone is happy now, like learning something basic. So this is the ultra basic of all these things. Whatever we have learned is the real dead basic of these things. And so there you go. So how was it? How was it, Pooja?
It was amazing. Yeah, I learned something new.
Yes, Sumit. Sumit says, like, can we do something similar?
Asking questions,
I have already done something similar. So have a look at the previous live streams. There is something for introduction to React.js, but there are a lot of things that we are doing for React.js as well. So we will do a lot more now. Right. Anything else? Yeah. What do you think, Pooja? What is your feed? What do you think about this?
Yeah, I learned something new, seriously, and yes, I wanted that kind of video.
Now go ahead, apply for all the API jobs, and then try to take your hand on cracking the interviews. Maybe next week.
Actually,
yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I have a question that I'm making one website, okay, Node and React, using Node and React.
Okay.
So I want that after closing that browser, I want to still logged in.
Okay.
So how to make that one? It is a little
that's actually
not basic, but yeah, I want to make that.
Yeah. Okay. So one second, Pravalika is asking about web development courses, which I have already done one. So I'm just going to send a link about the full stack course that I did just now. So just give me 1 second. Let me try to get this playlist sent to her. Yeah. Thanks, Devlina. And okay, sorry. I actually missed your question, Pooja. Sorry. Can you ask me again once again? Sorry. Very sorry.
Yeah. I'm asking that I want to make that I'm making an application. Okay. So after closing that browser, I want that I'll be login still there.
Okay, you mean something like persistent logins. So what you can do is you can use something like local storage to save the state of the application, or you can use something like cookies from the server side to store the sessions, but all the session data will be available only in the server side, because anyone can do a cookie hijacking and do something, right? So
they don't use local storage.
Local storage is better, and storing in the client is also better. At the same time, you need to do a client validation as well. So you will be storing all the IP addresses, the user agent syntax, the signature, a lot of things you will be storing, and then it will uniquely identify, okay, this is the right browser that is coming and accessing the machine, so we can allow the request to carry on, something like that. And that is called as persistent storage. persistent login, and persistent storage is something that we use with databases, and even that is possible.
Okay, thank you. Thank
This is a
you.
very basic version of what we were trying to learn. So there are like loads and loads of things. I'm gonna talk to GeeksGod and other team to see how we can do a lot of things like this. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and come back again
Yes,
for
already.
yet another awesome thing.
Yes.
So Pooja, do you want to say bye to everyone?
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Praveen. Thanks, audience. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye bye. See you.